Oh, we have a ranked game here, folks. We have the number 58 Clemson Tigers traveling to Boston College to take on the number 88 Boston College Eagles. Yes, they're 1-4. Clemson's 2-3. And I'm telling you right now, this has the makings of a barn burner in college football. By the way, I didn't make that up. That's actually the rankings for both teams. You can go check that out. I got that from CBS Sports. Want to throw up a little bit. But anyway, Clemson does take on Boston College Saturday, 7:30 on the ACC network. Clemson is a 14.5-point favorite, but who really cares? Because we know that means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing when it comes to the way this current team plays. So anyway, going to dive into that in just a second. Welcome to the channel. If you love college football, you love talking Clemson football, I hope you'll subscribe. It is free. I hope you'll pass it along in your forums to all your friends, Facebook, whatever. Yeah, and let them know I'm talking about Clemson football, even when it's not so good. You know, when I think about this Clemson team, I think about, and I'm typing in something here because I'm having to, I went live and I should have did this before, but this is something that I'm looking at. Consistency. Clemson has a consistency problem. And one of the main reasons that you would have a consistency problem on a football team always pretty much comes back to the mindset of the football team. And that goes back to coaching. What they do in practice, the mindset, the way they prepare for games, the inconsistent play calling. And it's very, very difficult for you to hold your players accountable when these inconsistencies continue to happen. And it's like, what is going on? Pause there. I know that someone is going to come into this video and go, trust me, there's conversations being had behind closed doors. Well, you just beat North Carolina, who's ranked like number 92 and one of the worst football teams in college football. So before you think too highly of this Clemson football team, I just want to let you know that they're still 2-3. And yeah, there's anyone really taking up for this program at this point is either a coach on this team, a player on this team, or someone who is still thinking that 2016 and 2018 were just a few years ago. So, you know, I'm not trying to pull out the tube socks and fill them with bars of soap and just beat this team over the head, but nothing is changing when it comes to, well, coaching. And we talk about the team culture. You need to understand that the coach and the coaching staff sets the tone and identity of the team. A culture of discipline, work ethic, and that work ethic producing results that are winning results. And that makes the team unite in the game plan, because you can unite because you believe in what you're doing. And I think that because there's a lack of consistency in the play calling, there's a lack of consistency in in most of the roles on this college or on this Clemson football team. Transparently, it's very difficult for teams, for players to buy in. And you can sit there and talk about how much money they make, which that does matter. You can talk about if they have a dog in them. It really doesn't matter. I get that argument. Yeah. But the truth is, that if you've played at the level a lot of these guys have played coming in from high school, a lot of them have come in from really good high schools, high school programs. So maybe they've never been at this level until they reached Clemson, obviously, unless you've transferred to multiple schools. Excuse me. The truth is that these guys can see that these plays are not working. These guys can see that assignments have been dropped. These guys can see that their coaches don't know how to fix the problem, and their coaches are highly paid, and they're supposed to be college coaches. Some of these guys probably had better high school coaches who would get things done and held them accountable and challenge them, and wouldn't let what's sliding in at Clemson slide at their high school they just left. And they probably realized some of that. They also have the power to turn on a TV and watch guys that they went to camp with, all these elite camps that you hear about, playing at places like Oregon, and they're winning, and they're making bank with NIL, and they have an exciting game plan that people are buying into. So these players have a very difficult time to have so much of a mental toughness to overcome what they realize is true, to just go out there and just perform. And it goes back to coaching. Now, this game is a prediction for Clemson and Boston College, and I am 6.5 minutes in, and I've barely mentioned Boston College. Why? Boston College is terrible, okay? They are and they're not good, all right? This team right now is 1-4. Bill O'Brien has bit off more than he can chew at Boston College, unless he needed the money. And the guys coached at Alabama. The guys coached in the NFL. The guy was one time the head coach of Penn State. Unless taxes and agent fees or just wild spending has really affected him, I would have passed on this Boston College job. It's a job that even when Matt Ryan was running things at Boston College and they were ranked 3rd in the country back 15 years ago or something like that. Hardly anyone in Boston really knew about it or cared about it, because they have the Patriots, the Celtics, the Red Sox, the Bruins. I can keep going. Cheers. Sometimes you want to go wet. I'm going to stop there, or else I'll get a copyright strike for that theme song. This is tarnishing his ability to even land a next job, unless he's going to go back to being an offensive coordinator. And so, I mean, Boston College is just not good. Let's talk about some of the games that they've played. If you want to know something about Boston College, here we go. Their only win this season was against Fordham, 66-10. They lost to Michigan State. Michigan State, right now, they're 3-2. They've lost their last 2 ball games to USC and Nebraska. Some people are regretting hiring Jonathan Smith out of Oregon State. I saw that floating around, and I'm sitting there going, Michigan State, you're not as great as you think you are. They lost to Stanford, who's terrible, and they lost to California, 28-24, a California team that just got smoked by Duke in Berkeley. And they got hammered at Pittsburgh, 48-7. And you're like, well, Brian, this is a slam dunk. Maybe so. There's one thing that makes me hesitate giving Clemson any type of benefit of the doubt, is that every time they're given the benefit of the doubt, they let us down. Well, back in 16, I bet you were happy. Sure, I was. That was a different coaching staff. That was different players, but different coaching staff. As coaching staff that had these guys ready to walk out on the field and play. That coaching staff does not exist at Clemson anymore. I have to remind a lot of you these things like over and over, because a win against a terrible UNC football team that we know more about the off-field antics of Bill Belichick and his romantic life than the football team he was hired to coach, and they're paying him outrageous money up there in Chapel Hill. Y'all are starting to get back on board. If I believe that Clemson could maybe back their way into an ACC championship, folks. If you really love Clemson, you don't want to reward poor coaching. You don't. If you care about Clemson on the long term, if you're just one of these short term, get my dopamine rush junkies, go for it. I'm looking at Clemson long term. And so, if there's going to be absolutely, maybe fire one coach and bring in another one like we've been doing for the past 3 or 4 years. And we can go through those coaches that were hired and fired. Brandon Streeter, Thomas Alston, Wes, Lemansky Hall. This has all happened. Lemansky Hall was not fired, but there was an understanding that I understand that they were coming to. So it was probably on an option, but I'll leave that alone. I'll retract that statement. But that coaching staff does not exist. And we're sitting here looking at a terrible Boston College team. Clemson's talent on this roster, they do have the talent. They were not developed, and they're not, the strategy is not there. The culture, according to what you think, the culture is not there. Clemson could have a high graduation rate and have a culture of trying to turn these guys into men, which, by the way, that's what a father's supposed to do. So I'm the main influence on my sons. I am. That's how God designed it. They have my oldest right now is interning at our church, and our pastor, who's a fantastic man, is an influence on him big time. Some of the elders there are influences on him. I am his main influence. I'm his dad. His grandfather is a major influence on him. And sure, some of these guys may not have that, but sometimes we get too caught up in trying to make these guys men. If they're just now being turned into men, now, and they hadn't been led up to this point, first, I hate it for them. That's sad. It really is sad. Somebody dropped the ball. Should have been a real man and helped them. But at the same time, these guys are at Clemson for one reason and one reason only: play football. The coach is on the sideline. One reason only to coach at Clemson is to fulfill the strategy. Let me rephrase that. Fulfill the development of these players. Create a strategy that gives them a chance against no matter who they're playing. And all the while, just like you would in a business, an organization, a church, even a family, ensure that they're doing the right thing the right way, which that's an oxymoron. And help them not to be the scum of the earth. Go be a productive human being. I'm all for that, folks. At the end of the day, they're at Clemson football, or they're on the Clemson football team. You go to Death Valley, you go and you pay an ungodly amount of money to see them play football, and not sit around and I'm just going to say they're there to play football, right? This team is so inconsistent because the leadership does not set them up that Boston College, what did I say they're ranked? Number 88 in the country. Number 88 in the country, yeah. Boston College stands a chance. Who's in front of Boston College? Well, let's see. Ohio, Stanford, Washington State, Kentucky, Utah State, Toledo, Louisiana Tech, East Carolina, Texas State, UConn, Western Kentucky, Rutgers, and then, of course, Clemson at number 58. Now, I know this morning that I've got a little edge to me when I'm talking about this. And at the end of the day, football means nothing. It really doesn't. On the windshield of my life. Clemson football is not a speck on it. I love it. I pull for them. I love talking about Clemson football. I'm pulling for the players and pulling for the coaches. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. But this is a Clemson football channel where I talk. I know this is hilarious that I would talk passionately about Clemson football. With that said, I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this with all my heart. I want to say that Clemson is going to win this ball game at Boston College this Saturday, not because Clemson has learned their lesson, that the coaches are, they realize that they wasted the eligibility of a lot of these players, and that they've done the wrong thing for the past 5 years. 5 years. And I would like to think that they would change that. But folks, I don't think so. I don't think so. Excuse me. There's been so much damage done here in the Clemson football program. We're literally looking at a 1-4 Boston College team and go, if I'm realistic, there's a really good chance Boston College could at least be competitive. Clemson should beat this team by 40 or 50 points easily. I mean, you lost 3 ball games. You should wake from your slumber and so on. But folks, I have not seen a complete ball game called for Clemson's offense or their defense this entire season. Well, they did pretty good against North Carolina, who, again, is not a good football team. Right? Not a good football team. I mean, they already had 2 players hit the transfer portal. They're no, or they're no longer on the team. I think maybe they just quit. By the way, you can do that. Instead of hitting the transfer portal, you can walk on out of school. You can walk on out of school. I don't think there's anything. It's just like enrolling. I can enroll at any school right now that would accept me. I say, you know what? I'll take out the longs. If I'm good enough, y'all can cover it in NIL, and it'll all pan out. A lot of people don't realize that. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Yeah, forget the portal. That's how bad North Carolina's football team is. Clemson coming in here to play Boston College, they have too much inconsistency. There's not a consistent game plan. There's not, and the players, they realize it. They feel it. And a lot of them, they want to go to the NFL. Well, not everybody makes it in the NFL. I get that 100%. That's a poor selling point. To go ahead and look at your players who are excited to come to your school, and the thing that you hear is, well, not everyone makes it to the NFL. Well, send me to a school that was recruiting me that their major push is to get you to the big league. They realize that if you win a lot, guess what? That could bring the attention of the pros on to you. If your numbers are really good, it could probably get you into the NFL. But, sitting here looking at this Clemson at Boston College, it's like a no-brainer. Oh, yeah, they're going to beat Boston College. No, I can't say that. I can't say that for sure. So that is where we're at. So I am going to give my prediction, and I'll give a quick rundown what Clemson needs to do. What you did in that first quarter this past week against a really bad football team is what you should have been doing the entire season, every quarter. And for some reason, this offense stops and goes, and I have no clue why. I expect this out of the local high school. I don't expect this out of a team that pays their coaches handsomely. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't, and that does matter. You don't pay people a ton of money if they're not a specialist. So I really don't get what's going on. Still don't buy it. If I'm too negative for you, you can find another outlet that will tell you that everything's fine with this 2-3 football team that just 6 weeks ago, everyone, including Paul Feinbaum, said they have the roster to compete for a national championship or at least make a deep playoff run. So you go find that source. who's humming the Tiger rag even while they're getting a root canal. You go find that source. I'm going to keep it realistic here. I see what they need to do is just do what you did the entire game. Do in the first quarter, or do in the entire game what you did in the first quarter against UNC, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. On the offense, do your thing, run the ball a little more. Continue to be creative. Don't take your foot off the pedal, and then get Vizina and Pearman out there and whoever else that you're going to potentially play at quarterback next year, because I don't know if y'all saw this, and it's not his fault. Sitting on the bench, you don't develop. You can gain time and experience behind a leader, but you still need to get out on the field, right? Just like driving a car. You can ride in the front seat with daddy all day long. When that wheel's in your hand, you turn that car, it feels different. You see daddy over there running 70 miles per hour, you're like, I can do that. You start running 45 and get a little knot in your stomach. It's because you have no experience. And so, if you think this year's bad, wait till next year. But a defense, keep Tom Allen on the sideline. He needs to stay in those players' face. And for goodness sakes, continue to bring pressure. Just bring more pressure. I want more pressure on the quarterback. I want more pressure on the quarterback. Don't give them one moment to think they're going to win this ball game. Next up, put the most excited player on the field who wants it. A person who wants it will work for it. A person who doesn't won't. A person who is content, and I don't know how any true competitor would be content with 2-3 right now. Maybe there needs to be some personnel changes, even on the field, even on the team. But go in, do your thing, and just coach good football, put the best out there. I think Clemson's going to sneak by Boston College just because they're that bad. They're just that bad. Not because Clemson's improved or the coaches has learned their lesson. They're going to, I think that you're going to see the coaching staff leech, like a literal leech, onto these wins. Just because, well, that's all they have. And they know that there's enough fans out there who has a very short memory. They don't even pay attention to Clemson's record. So, I mean, right now, Clemson could go out and beat a D3 school, and there'd be people drunk in the stands hitting up the Clemson forums as they're up there hammered drunk, screaming nonsense, typing about how this team looks way better. Yeah, you're playing a D3 school. So, anyway, well, folks, I see Clemson sneaking by. Wouldn't be shocked if they lost. It's that simple. Well, if you love Clemson football as much as I do, and you're absolutely not distraught, just irritated with it, because I've been saying this was going to happen for a long time. I was told I was crazy, pessimistic, didn't know football and all this bunch of stuff. I heard it all. And unfortunately, I'm right. I wished I were wrong. I really do. Sometimes being right is not fun, and this is one of them. So anyway, if you love Clemson football, I hope you'll subscribe. Hope you pass this along to your friends, neighbors, and clergymen, and on your forums, YouTube groups, whatever. And I really do appreciate it. Also, check out my other channel, another college football podcast, where I talk about college football as a whole, right? It's interesting looking at other football teams from East Coast to West Coast, South to North, places it's already snowing, places it's still 90 degrees on game day, and seeing how all of these teams are playing the college football game differently. And that would definitely expose a lot of things about Clemson when you look at different schools. So go check that out. Y'all be good.